joining this beautiful morning. Today we are gonna start little early so we can glorify the disappearance day of the Srivasa Pandit, very close associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So today our journey becomes successful with the help of Ishwar Krishna Prabhu, Yamuna Sundari Mataji, IV Gautam, Patit Pavan Prabhu, Amol and Smita Pandit, Sachinandan Krishna Prabhu, Sitala Priya Devidasi, Girivaridhari Prabhu, Raghav Chaitanya Prabhu, Hanuman Prabhu, Manani Mataji, Rohit Mishra Prabhu, Saraswati Devidasi, Manmathanand Prabhu, Sundari Radha Mataji, Tapti Ghosh Mataji, Janki Khan Prabhu, Labanga Latika Mataji, Prathmesh Prabhu, Shreya Devidasi, Sumitra Radha Mataji, Devendra Krishna Prabhu, Divyansan Saloni, Murli Manohar Prabhu, Sweddi Prabhu, Paramanand Hari Prabhu, Nandanandan Priya Mataji, Nadia Kumar Prabhu, Rag Bhakti Devidasi. No, Rag Bhakti Devidasi is on the vacation, sorry. Kamini Priya Mataji, Sankarsan Prabhu, Manjari, Pandurang Devdas Prabhu, Damodarati Mataji, Uttam Bhakta Prabhu, Vallabhi Mataji, Rajendra Prabhu, Kasturi Manjari Mataji, Srinivasa Acharya Prabhu, Pranath Gopal Prabhu, Radhika Prem Devidasi, Raj Vinod Prabhu, Anand Vinodini Devidasi, Madhvi Gopi Mataji, Namanand Prabhu, Prem Vinodini Mataji, Tulsi Priya Mataji, Jai Govinda Prabhu, Kamal Priya Mataji, Abhay Joshi Prabhu, Madhav Charan Prabhu, Ananya Bhakti Devidasi, Amal Nam Prabhu, Karunamai Mataji, Barsana Rani Mataji, Srikant Srivasa Prabhu, Vijay Keshav Prabhu, Rashmi Mataji, Kirti Prabhu, Mahiti Konda, Radha Vallabh Prabhu, Radha Charan Prabhu, Advait Prabhu, Lalit and Josna Vara, Ravi Pipalia Prabhu, Kamlesh Dingra Mataji, Manoj Kapoor Prabhu, I didn't see him, he is in India, sorry. Haribo. Balram Prabhu, Abhay Charan Prabhu, Sukruti Devidasi, Rajesh and Sweta, Shri Kumar Prabhu, Sam Sundar Prabhu, Harikatha Devidasi, Pitambar Priya Prabhu, Sumit Prabhu didn't join today. Haribo. Suchitra Devidasi, Purvi Parmar Mataji, Prem Priya Padma Mataji, Amit Prabhu, Nakul Grover also didn't join today, Sarmista Sahi Mataji, Kanta Mataji. And I think those are the devotees who joined today. So let's hear the wonderful song before we Srivasa Pandit. Haribol.
Dhanamura Nityananda Patimura Gura Chandra Dhanamura Nityananda Patimura Gura Chandra Pranamura Jugal Kishora Pranamura Jugal Kishora Advaita Acharya Bala Gadadhara Murakula Narahare Vilasino Vaishnaveda Padadhuli Tahe Mura Snana Keli Tarpan Mura Vaishnavana Vichar Kuriya Mane Bhakti Rasa Swadane Madhyastha Shri Bhagavat Purana Vaishnaveda Uchista Tahi Mura Mananista Vaishnavera Name Devla
Thank you very much, Ishwar Krishna Prabhu, for playing a wonderful song. So today is the most auspicious day, the disappearance day of Srivasa Pandit. Asya artha vivartasteyah sa sankshipaya vilikhyate bhakta rupa gora chandro yato sho nandanandanaha bhakta swarupo nityanando vrajayasri halayuddha bhakta utar acharyo dvaito yashri sadasivaha bhakta kya Srinivasadya yataste bhakta rupina bhakta saktir द्विज जग जागरण्यो Sri Gadadhara Pandita. I shall now summarily explain the meaning of these words. In this Panchatattva, the Bhakta Rup, the form of a devotee, is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who formerly appeared as Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. The Bhakta Swarup devotional incarnation is Lord Nityananda, who formerly appeared in Brajabhumi as Lord Balram. The Bhakta Avatar devotional manifestation is Lord Advaita Acharya, who is non different from Sadasiva. And Bhakta Akya, pure devotee, is Srinivas and other great devotees as well. The Bhakta Sakti devotional energy is Gadadhar Pandit, the foremost of the Brahmanas. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Avduta, and Lord Advaita are all incarnation of the supremely exalted personality of Godhead. And they are all known by the title Prabhu, Master. Among them, Lord Chaitanya, who is an ocean of mercy, is known as Mahaprabhu, the great master. And the great personality, Lord Nityananda and Lord Advaita, are known only as Prabhu, Master. All three are also known as Goswami, Master of the senses. Gadadhar is called by the title Dvij, Brahmana, and Srinivas is called by the title Pandita, learned scholar. These are the title of the members of the Panchatattva. O my Lord Gaurahari, you are the abode of auspiciousness, which is as beautiful as the Kirtan of Krishna. You are the ocean of elegance, bestower of constant flow of devotion, and mountain of love, which is as bright as gold. Your beautiful feature gives soothing relief to the eyes of every living being, and you are mankind's salvation from all kind of misfortune. You are the center of the Lila Vilas and the life of the devotees. Be kind to me. Bhakti Ratnakar, KJA 1. O my Prabhu, Sri Gopal Bhatt, the bee at the lotus feet of Sri Gaura. You are the sun which destroyed the darkness of illusion, the ocean of kindness and the greatest of all Brahmanas. You are the son of Sri Vedanta Venkata Bhatt and a valuable ornament of divine love and devotion. You are the destroyer of worldly miseries and a resort of happiness to the misery-stricken people. O Lord, save me. Bhakti Ratnakar, KGA 2. O my Prabhu, Srila Gopal Bhatt, a bee at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, you are the most skillful devotee of the Lord. O my Prabhu, Srinivas, whose complexion is as golden as Sri Satchinandan. You are the king amongst all the Brahmanas. Please bless me. Bhakti Ratnakar KJ3. I constantly worship the companions of Srinivas Prabhu, who is like the wishing tree of devotional love of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra. Bhakti Ratnakar KJ4. My dear listeners, please repeatedly and joyfully hear the Bhakti Ratnakar, which is the life of all Vaishnavas and the destroyer of all miseries and misfortune. Bhakti Ratnakar KJ5. Sri Gadadhar is expansion, Radharani, and Srinivas is the expansion of Narad Muni. Or in other words, they are the internal and the devotional energy, respectively. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada on 27th May 1970, later to Tamal Krishna, as follows. Srivas Pandito Dhiman, Ya Pura Narado Muni, Purvatakyo Munivaro, Ya Asin Narada Priyaha, Sa Rama Pandita Srimams, Tat Kanista Sahodaraha. Intelligent Srivas Pandit had previously been Narad Muni, the best of the sages. Srivas' younger brother, Sriman Ram Pandit, had previously been Narada's close friend, Parvata Muni. Gaura Ganodesh Deepika 90. Sri Vrindavandas Thakur, the Vyasdeva of Sri Gaura Sundar's pastime, has sung the praise of Srivas Pandit in this way. Quote, it was in Srivas Pandit's house that Sri Chaitanya enacted his pastime of Sankirtan. Those four brothers, Srivas, Sriram, Srimati, and Srinidhi, were continuously engaged in singing the name of Sri Krishna. They worship Sri Krishna and bathe in Ganges thrice daily. These four brothers previously lived in the district of Srihata. Later on, they came to reside on the bank of the Ganges. There, they regularly used to attend the assembly of devotees who gathered at Sri Advaita Acharya's house to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam and engage in congregational chanting of the holy names. Gradually, the brothers became very close friends of Sri Jagannath Mishra, with whom they would chant and listen to the Bhagavatam. In all matters, Srivas was the leader of the four brothers. By the strength of his devotion, he could understand that Sri Krishna was going to appear in the house of Jagannath Mishra. Srivas Pandit's wife name was Sri Malini Devi. She was a very close friend of Sri Sachi Devi and was always very helpful to her. Seeing the wretched state of the fallen living entities in Kali Yuga, the devotees began plaintively pray to the Lord for their deliverance. Krishna hears the call of his devotees. On the full moon day in the month of Falgun, in the year 1407, Christian era 1486, the Lord incarnated himself. With his appearance, there was the simultaneous dawning of all auspiciousness within the world as it became filled with Harinam. Just as Sri Advaita Acharya from Santipur could understand that the Lord had appeared, similarly, Srivas and some of the other devotees of Navadvip also understood. Since previously Malini Devi was engaged in attending upon Sachi Devi, Srivas and Jagannath Mishra came to her at this time and hinted that she was especially needed now. As long as the Lord chooses not to reveal himself, no one can possibly recognize him. Therefore, even though from his childhood the Lord exhibited many supernatural abilities, Still, due to his deluding potency, the devotees could not fully understand his true nature. Their hearts were simply filled with parental affection for him, without a trace of awe or reverence. Srivas and Malini gave Sachidevi and Jagannath much advice how to raise the new son. Srivas and Malini were just like a mother and father of Sri Gaura Sundar, because young Nimai Pandit seemed to have grown arrogant by his scholarship. One day, Srivas Pandit decided to give him good counsel. Quote, why do people study? So that they might understand what is devotion to Sri Krishna. Unquote. He told Nimai, quote, if by scholarship one doesn't gain devotion to Sri Krishna, then how will that learning help him? It becomes simply a tedious endeavor, which in the end is nothing but a waste of time. If you have actually learned something, then begin your worship of Sri Krishna now. Make haste. This is the purpose of your life. Nivai, Nimai laughed as he replied, quote, by your mercy, certainly that will come to be. If you are all kind enough for me, then definitely I will attain devotion to Sri Krishna's lotus feet. Unquote. Shortly thereafter, Mahaprabhu journeyed to Gaya, where he performed the pastime of accepting initiation from Sri Iswarpuri. Thus, gradually he began to take up his real work of distributing loving devotion to Sri Krishna. One day, in ecstatic mood, Lord Gauranga entered Srivas' house asking, quote, Srivas, whom do you worship? Whom do you meditate upon? Now with your own two eyes, see that person standing before you. Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Lila 2 258. Saying this, Mahaprabhu entered the deity room within Srivas' home and sat down on the Sinhasana of Lord Vishnu, revealing his own four-armed form, holding the conch, dace club, and lotus flower. Seeing this form, Srivas was totally stupefied. Sri Gaura Sungar then said, quote, due to being called by your Sankirtan and the loud roaring of Sri Advaita Acharya, I have left Vaikuntha and have descended upon this mortal world. Accompanied by my eternal associates, will destroy the miscreants and deliver the pious. Now, without fear, you can chant my glories. Hearing these words of his Lord, which dispel all fear, Srivas fell on the ground, offering his obeisances. And then he began to recite hymns in praise of the Lord. Quote, my obeisances at the lotus feet of the support of the entire universe, Vishwambara, whose bodily color is like that of a newly arrived rain cloud, and wore garments which are the color of a thunderbolt. My obeisances at the lotus feet of the son of Sachi, who is bedecked with ornaments of peacock feathers and a garland of reed beads, Gunjamala. My obeisances at the lotus feet of the people of Gangadas, the beauty of whose lotus face conquered that of 10 million moons. My obeisances at your lotus feet, you who carry a buffalo horn, stick, and a flute. The four Vedas have proclaimed you to be the son of Nand. Unto you, my dear Lord, my obeisances I offer again and again. Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Lila 2 272. Today, my birth, my activities, my everything has become successful. Today, my very existence has been crowned with the greatest auspiciousness. Today, the race of my forefathers has finally borne fruit, and my house, which was also their house, has become blessed. Today, The great fortune of my eyes is completely beyond calculation because I have been able to see that person whose lotus feet are shown by the goddesses of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. Having described the glories of Sri Gaurasundar in various ways, Sri Gaurasundar showed even more compassion to Srivas by revealing himself to all of his family members. Seeing the niece of Srivas Pandit present before him, Prabhu called to her, Narayani, call upon Sri Krishna with tears in your eyes. And immediately, this little girl, only 4 years of age, as if in a delirious frenzy, began to cry out, Hare Krishna, while shedding tears incessantly. In fact, the flood of tears coursed down her body to such an extent that the ground around her feet became soaked in the tears. Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya 2. Seeing little Narayani totally agitated in aesthetic love, Shiva's wife and even the household servants also began to shed tears of love. The courtyard of Shiva's took on a very beautiful appearance, being decorated with aesthetic love for Krishna. There was one maidservant in Shiva's Pandit house by the name Dukhi. Every day she used to bring water from the Ganga for Mahaprabhu's bath. One day, Gaurasungar asked Srivas, who brings this water? Dukhi brings it, Srivas replied. From today her name is Sukhi. Thus the Lord indicated that those who serve the Lord and the Lord's devotees are not Dukhi, sad. Rather, they are Sukhi, happy. At this time, Sri Gaurasundar began his lila as the Yuga Avatar at the house of Srivas Pandit. Having been reunited with Sri Nityanand Prabhu, he started congregational chanting of the Lord's holy name in the courtyard of Shiva's house. Nityanand Prabhu took up his residence there. Sri Malini Devi showed Nityanand as though he were her own son. Sri Nityanand was actually Sri Baldev himself, and in his pastime as Lord Nityananda, he behaved somewhat like a madman. He was always overwhelmed by the love of Krishna and was not aware of the state of his outward dress or ornaments. One evening, Sri Gaurasundar, accompanied by his associates, was engaged in chanting and dancing at the house of Srivas Thakur. When one of Srivas Thakur's sons passed away after having suffered the effect of some disease, within the inner apartment of his house, when I visited, the house, I don't know it's real, that house, but it has so many rooms in within the Srivas house, and there was a big living room and like that, but there were so many other small rooms were there. Wonderful. So within the inner apartment of his house, the woman began to wail in lamentation at the boy's untimely death. Srivas Pandit, who was outside in the courtyard, understood some tragedy must have taken place. He quickly entered the house only to find that his son had passed onto the next world. As he was very grave devotee and completely conversant in the science of absolute truth, he was able to console the woman in their grave. Quote, you are all aware of Krishna's glories, so please restrain yourself and don't cry. Whoever during his last moment hears the Lord's holy name, even though he might be the greatest sinner, attains Krishna's abode. And that incomparably wonderful Lord, he whose glories are sung by all his servants up to and including Lord Brahma, is now personally dancing in the courtyard of your house. Quote continues, this moment is so auspicious that it is sure that this boy has successfully completed his journey from this world. Is there anything to be lamented at this? His good fortune is completely assured. I can understand that whatever part I have played in this is also crowned with success. Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Leela 25.30. He concluded by telling them, quote, if you can control your emotion because of your family affections to the boy, then at least don't cry now. You can cry later. The Supreme Lord of Gokul himself, Sri Gaura Sundar, is performing Sankirtan, accompanied by his devotees in this house. If due to your crying, the happiness that he experiences from dancing in ecstasy during Sankirtan is disturbed, then I will just this minute jump into the Ganges and thus give up my own life. Unquote. What a good instruction. Quote again, not a blade of grass moves until by Krishna's will. To see in this happiness or distress, or knowledge or ignorance is simply imagination. Know that whatever Krishna wills is good, and thus giving up your own selfish desires, become free from confusion and unnecessarily botheration. It says that the most miseries is created by our own mind, right? Always something is never going to happen, but we still dwell on this thing and then lament and then suffer anxiety. That's the life. Krishna is giving and Krishna is taking away. And it is Krishna alone who is maintaining everyone when those thoughts will sink into our heart and mind. Someone he protects and someone he destroys, all according to his sweet will. If someone contemplates something contrary to Krishna's will, then as a result of his desire, he only gets torment. Giving up all lamentation, simply hear Krishna's name and thus pass through all difficulties, feeling great happiness. What a wonderful word. Sentence, huh? As long as we will chant Krishna's name, no matter how much lamentation and suffering is there, difficulties, we will feel great happiness. Then your desire will actually be fulfilled. Having given all these instructions to those present, Srivasa again went outside to join Mahaprabhu in ecstatic chanting and dancing. Two women, the woman living the dead body, came to hear the kirtan of Mahaprabhu. And so Mahaprabhu continued his chanting until middle of the night. When everyone was at last leaving to take rest, Mahaprabhu spoke, quote, today my mind is feeling some tribulation. I think some sad event has occurred in Shiva's house, unquote. The Pandit replied, quote, what possible unhappiness could there be in that person's house where your divinely blissful countenance is seen, unquote. Quote, Srivas, why wasn't I feeling bliss in Kirtan today? What inauspicious thing transpired in your house, unquote. Srivas answered, quote, my lord, you are yourself all auspicious. Where you are present, no sorrow can be found anywhere, unquote. But the other devotees informed the Lord that Sriva's son had passed away. Hearing this news, Gaurarai cried out, quote, "Alas, what a tragic event. Why didn't you tell me of this unfortunate news before?" Unquote. Again, quote, "I will explain," unquote, Srivas Pandit replied. Quote, "I couldn't tolerate disturbing you while you were enjoying Sankirtan. If one of my sons dies, what sorrow is there in that for me? If we all die while seeing you, that would be actually be a matter of a great happiness. On the other hand, if you would have to stop dancing, then perhaps I would have died. My Lord, this was the danger that I feared, and thus I didn't tell you at that time." Unquote. Showing Shiva's Pandit profound devotion, Sri Gaurasundar says, quote, "How can I give up such company as this?" Unquote. With tears in his eyes, he continued, quote, "Due to love for me, he didn't even feel lamentation at the death of his son. How will I abandon their companionship?" Unquote. The Lord continued to cry, and the devotees began to worry within, having heard him speak of leaving them. Thereafter, Mahaprabhu came to where the dead body of the infant was lying. Touching it, he called, quote, "Boy, why are you going away and leaving Srivas Pandit?" Unquote. The life of a dead child returned at the touch of Mahaprabhu's hand. And after offering obeisances to the Lord, he replied, quote, "O Prabhu, whatever you ordain is absolute. No one can do anything but what is sanctioned by you. As many days I was destined to remain here, that many days I have stayed. Now that my time has elapsed, I have proceeded to leave. Quote, my Lord, I have taken birth and died repeatedly, but this time, at the time of death, I passed away quite happily, having taken darshan of your beautiful face." Unquote. After saying this, the child became silent. Sri Gauranga Rai had thus enjoyed a kind of transcendental sport. Having heard the uncommon words of the dead child, the devotees floated in the ocean of bliss. Srivas Pandit, along with his family members, then fell at the lotus feet of Gaurasundar and cried in ecstatic love. Mahaprabhu then told him, quote, "Since myself and Nityananda are your two sons, please don't feel any more distress in your mind over what has happened." Unquote. Hearing these compassionate words of the Lord, the devotees' cheers were resounded throughout the heavens, proving the statement of the Shastra that Lordship Gauranitya Nanda became deeply indebted to Srivas due to his great love for and service to him. After Mahaprabhu took sannyas, Srivas Pandit came to live at Kumarhat. Every year he would go with his brothers to see Mahaprabhu at Puri. He also regularly came to see Sachimata in Navadvip and would spend a few days there during those times. When Mahaprabhu came from Nilachal to see his mother and the river Ganges, he also stopped at Kumarhat to see Srivas. What a great personality. After staying some days at the Advaita house, Mahaprabhu came to Srivas temple at Kumarhat, Chaitanya Bhagavat. It was at this time that Mahaprabhu gave this benediction to Srivas. Quote, "There will never be poverty in your house if you simply remain indoors, never even venturing out of your house. Whatever you require for your worship will come to your door." And that's why we heard Srivas Pandit never went out to work or do any business. Complete surrender is required. Srivas Pandit, along with his three brothers, eternally served Sri Gaurasundar. He is the incarnation of Narad and accompanied Mahaprabhu in all his Navadvip Lila across the Ganges from Holy Sahar, the present name of village of Kumar Hut. There is a town of the name Chuchura. Located here are some very beautiful deities of Sinitai Gauranga. And at the present, the Siva Puja is becoming carried by the Devanand Gaudiya Math. The resident Swami Maharaj recalls that when the Gaudiya Math took over the servitorship of this temple, its name was Srivasa Mahaprabhu Mandir. Thus, there is a strong possibility that these are the worshipable deities of Srivas Pandit. The temple is at present named Uddhavar Gaudiya Math. It is near Chaumatha, close to the Churimore intersection where the town clock stands. So there is a rail station at Chuchura, Chinsura on the Bandil Navdip line. Chulchura may also be reached by ferry from Holisahar on the other side of the Ganga, where Chaitanya Boda, the birthplace of Sri Iswarpuri, is located. So with those thoughts, we pray at the divine lotus feet of Srivas Pandit that he bestow his kind mercy upon all of us. So we remain steadfast in our devotion to Gaura Sundar and Sri Krishna and make our life successful. And as we read the pastimes of Srivas Pandit, we can see when we surrender, take shelter, real shelter at the lotus feet of Gauranga or Radha and Krishna, there is no anxiety. There is always a jubilant victory awaiting for us in our life. And we will leave this body so happily. We will feel we accomplished something in this life by the mercy of Srivas Pandit. So with those thoughts, always remain happy, jubilant, and totally fearless. And whoever you come across, give them a kind word that their life can also become successful. With those thoughts, I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the desk of the wonderful devotees who take so much austerity to join every morning from Houston, from India, New Jersey, Boston, Virginia, Boise, St. Louis, Alachua, Montreal, College Station, San Jose, Tempe, Arizona, Detroit, Brampton, Ontario. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much, all of you. This is a blissful event. Just knowing the life of those personality, it will help us immensely. So feel happy.